why don't we start now with your warmest wishes to everybody? What do you want to tell people out there this Christmas season?
Please say Merry Christmas.
Oh my God. Don't hold your breath for that one.
A cup of coffee with my mom.
Mike is basically leaning up against the wall and, trying to make his back feel better, which apparently.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Do you guys not see me?
Yes, we can see you, Mike.
Oh. I thought you asked if I left town.
Well, I can see you now.
Well, as long as we're recording, let's go ahead and begin then, shall we?
I think we should all be on the floor with our feet up against the wall.
God. It kind of works.
Does it help?
Yeah, it helps. It does. Just takes the pressure off the lower back.
You know what? You know how I get relief? When I go to bed at night, it really hurts. I'm lying on my back. And if I bring
Noble Tennessee whiskey?
If I bring my knees up toward my chin,
it
feels much better.
Can you get your knees to your chin?
I can.
Wow,
I know.
That's impressive.
John can't.
I can barely get them to my navel.
See?
Well, she has to take her legs off.
John can't.
Oh.
No, I take my head off.
Mom, it's so nice to see you. This is so weird. People should know. I'm like, I don't know.
Can you see her house from there?
Almost. I'm looking toward it. I'm probably 20 miles from where you are. I'm downtown Baltimore. I was over there at the home yesterday, and we decided we wanted to do this today because it would be fun to be in person. But of course, you can't do this in person with this Riverside setup. This is the only we couldn't be in the same room without actual cameras. So anyway, I'm here but not here, if that makes sense.
Right. So I did get to see you yesterday. That was a treat.
Was it? What did you like about it?
That you finally got here. What is so exasperating about you, Mike, is that...
Let's get right to it.
Let me get my list. Number one is that you seem to find it very difficult to make a commitment to when you're doing something. I don't know.
Is that so?
If that's on... Oh, you've noticed it, Chuck? I don't know if that's on you or on your business, but you've been in town for several days and you were unable to tell me exactly which day you were coming to visit me. And when you finally told me the day, you couldn't give me an approximate time, which makes my planning a little difficult because I wanted to take you to lunch and, but anyway, I've gotten used to it. I know you'll never change.
Well, look, this is guilty as charged, but my mistake was simply in telling you I was here. That was the mistake. I didn't come to town specifically to visit you guys, but I have a rule. If I'm in, the same time zone, I'll always get by. But if I tell you in advance I'm there, then I get slugged into whatever neatly ordered schedule drives your existence these days. And I'm just looking at the text. What'd I say? On Thursday, I said, "Hi, Mom. I think the podcast will work fine on Saturday today. I'm not going to make it up there tonight. I have a dinner downtown. I can't get out of it. Maybe lunch tomorrow." You say, "Okay, come by for lunch at 11:30 in the Acorn. Scott's running late. He won't be here till 5 o'clock this evening." Fine. And then you write back at 11:40 p.m., that night, which is like way past your bedtime.
I know.
Mike, we can eat at Lakeside tomorrow. Breakfast is for 8 to 10. Lunch is from 11 to 1. So lunch suits us better. We can probably eat at 11 since we will skip breakfast. We have to eat again at 4 with our Friday evening friends. You probably have plans, but if not, you are welcome to join us. So, Chuck, if you listen carefully, you'll hear the passive aggression just under the surface. So I wake up the next morning, yesterday, I see this and I say, "Mom, I've got a breakfast meeting. I'm free after that. I figured I'd come by around 11 or noon. Probably won't be very hungry, but I can join you guys for lunch in the Acorn anyway and hang out for a while. To which Mom says, okay, Mike, if, quote, working us in is inconvenient, you can do it at some other time. Maybe. I mean, that's it. Boom. There it is. I'm just like, good God. So, I mean, these guys, it's like a train schedule up there. I mean, it's like every 10 minutes there's a meal. There's a different group of dining people. Am I going to fit in with the breakfast people, the lunch people, the brunch people, the pre-supper people, the dinner people, the late? And you know, it's a big place, so it takes 15 minutes to walk to wherever they're going. And if you're late, I literally got there. My mom's clutching her bag by the elevator, going, "Oh, well, look who it is." It's just
Peggy, how on a scale from 1 to entire BS, how close is that?
Actually, it's about an 8.
Okay, that's not bad. Good job, Mike.
Well, what can I say? It's the rhythm of the home, and we are totally immersed, and we are at the mercy of the meal schedules. Now, if you come expecting a meal at 1:45, forget it, because nothing's open. You know, there are certain hours when we are welcome to come and eat. But it's all about schedule.
No, it is. I mean, it's not about the food, though. It's like dinner is not about the food. Nothing is really about the thing. It's about the getting together with the right people at the right restaurant. There are like 20 restaurants in this place.
I think there are 9.
Okay. I mean, that's more than that is in this hotel where I'm. By the way, here, let me show you what I tried to do. Why I was a little late with all of this. It's so pretty down here, and I wanted to set the computer up over here. Look at Baltimore back there.
Oh,
Isn't that
that's
awesome?
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Well, we know how you get your vitamin D, so
Well,
Yeah.
one
All
day,
naked out there on the
one
balcony.
day I did that.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. All your neighbors have to do is look out the window one day and see you splayed out there with the sunlight bouncing off your alabaster 87-year-old hide.
Lucky neighbors. And there was no petition, and we didn't have to move, so that's a good thing.
Scott get to the airport okay?
No, but we took him to the car rental place this morning.
Oh, he's driving. Right.
And he's on his way to a little town in New Jersey for his company Christmas party.
Oh. My middle brother Scott is an engineer. He lives down in Florida, but he got hired by this company in New Jersey, and they're doing their big shindig. So on his way to New Jersey, see, Scott has taken the same pledge that I have, Mom. Anytime you're in the time zone, or certainly in the state, you got to come by. So he was on his way to New Jersey and stopped to see you guys and stayed for a night. And I guess he's going to stay, tomorrow night on his way back?
He'll be back tomorrow afternoon, and then he's going to leave on Monday because he has to go back. But your brother, he's such an engineer. On our way to the car this morning, Scott was carrying a garment bag with his party outfit for tonight at the hotel. The handle came off of the hanger inside the garment bag. Well, I mean, anybody else would have just laid the garment bag over their arm and thrown the handle in the trash can. Not Scott. He stops, analyzes why that handle came off. Well, he got it put back on again. By the time we got to the car, his hanger had a handle again. That's engineer for you. I would have, like I said, chucked it.
Well, and I would have never brought a party outfit in the first place.
Sure, you would have. I've seen you dress up for that military thing that you go to.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's different. I wear my very best farmer shirt for that, and my farmer suit, and all of that. My black tie farmer wear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the Marine Corps ball you're talking about.
Yes. Well, I've seen, you sent me a picture and you really look good.
Oh, thank you. I mean, everybody there it absolutely looks their best. But the thing about that ball that's so interesting is, it's in an old theater, and everybody's dressed up, and the Marines do an amazing job. The youngest Marine is there, and he cuts the cake with a sword, and the first piece goes to the oldest Marine. And I think the last time I went, the youngest Marine was like 19 and the oldest was 104. And they're on stage, and there's a brass band, and it's very patriotic, and people stand and sing all the obvious songs. But over all of it is just this heavy smell of mothballs.
I thought you were going to say Noble Whiskey.
No, American Giant. No, it's mothballs, man. It's everybody looks glamorous, but they only wear that tux or that gown once a year. It was kind of like at the opera. Remember, you'd go there sometimes, it'd be like, wow, everybody's dressed up, but what is that smell? It's mothballs. Who did I see yesterday over there at the home who had around like a Hawaiian lei, except it was full on Christmas tree lights all screwed
Oh,
in to like a closed circuit.
well, that
So
was
literally, it's like a necklace made out of big Christmas tree lights.
yeah, that was Dan. He came to our table in Lakeside and joined us a little bit for lunch. He's head of marketing here.
Yeah, the other guy had it though too.
Yes,
Sullivan.
Todd Sullivan. Yes,
Yeah.
he's an executive. He's like the vice. He's under the top executive.
Here's how weird it's gotten, Chuck. And I know we've talked about this before and laughed about it, but Mom's book, Oh No, Not the Home, which is doing quite well, not to anyone's surprise, has done weirdly well, like shockingly, strangely well at the home itself. I think everybody's read it. People are walking around with it. And you can't walk through this place with my mother and not get stopped every 10 feet by somebody who wants to know, hey, is Carol on page 97, whose name was changed, I think I know who that really is.
Right.
And they're like these constant conversations
Or tell
about
me, am
what's
I on
going.
page 85? Is that me? Because that sure sounds like me. It's
It
been
is
fun.
well, yesterday was that on steroids. They were doing some kind of open house, and there were probably 100 people there, maybe more,
There were
who
200.
Wow.
200 people who come in to see if they want to live in this place. And
Mhm.
as I'm talking to the head of sales, this woman comes up. She's like, Peggy Rowe, I just want you to know that I'm moving in here because of this book. I love this book. It just made me want to live here. And I swear to God, it was not set up, nothing. And I'm just like, what is going on here?
Chuck, you have to know that when we go any place with Mike, our family, the rest of us are totally invisible. It's all about Mike because everybody knows who Mike is, and the rest of us just kind of fade into the shadows. Well, this woman stopped to tell me about the book, and then she looked over and she looked at Scott. She said, I know you. You're the son. You're the son who lives in Florida. I saw your picture in the book.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it felt, I mean, I'm sure Scott kind of felt important.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that's exactly how I felt. Big day. Big day for Scott. Had his picture in a book.
Recognized
Scott
at the home.
Scott truly couldn't give a crap about any level of that. I mean, he is as indifferent as you would hope an engineer would be to anything that could be confused with notoriety, celebrity, awareness. I mean, he just doesn't care.
No, no, he really doesn't. He's delightful. I mean, he really doesn't care at all.
Yeah. Where's Dad?
Well, I believe he's in the kitchen reading right now. He's supposed to play pool at 2:00. So he'll be leaving shortly with his pool stick.
That's a sight too, Chuck. Seeing my father walk around clutching what could be a shotgun. It's in this black case, with like these flip
Or maybe a
blocks on it. But
clarinet.
could be a clarinet, a big one, but it's a pool cue.
A friend here gave it to him. And this friend is probably the best pool shooter here at Oakcrest.
You're talking about Willie.
Oh, yeah, you met him yesterday. Yeah. Willie Metzger. And he's really good. And he and Phil play together all the time. But he's been impressed by Dad's diligence at the pool table and had an extra pool cue. So gave it to Dad, and Dad walks around with it. He's proud of it and uses it.
It's really funny how not very good most people are at pool who really enjoy playing it, including you and I, Chuck. I mean, we played for years. We're not good at all. But it's just one of those sports that you can really sink your teeth into no matter how incompetent you are at it.
And if
Is Scott good at it?
This is the funny thing. Scott doesn't play pool, but he's really...
I just would think as an engineer...
But he's really good with angles.
That's what I would think, yeah.
And so he played... they play a game called Captain with 3 people can play. And Bob came up to me afterwards, Bob Kaufman, and he said, I really enjoyed playing pool with Scott tonight. He's a lot of fun and he's pretty good. And Dad just said to me this morning, he said, I was surprised. Scott is really pretty good at the pool table. He takes his time and he measures and he does what he has to do.
I was going to say, my friend Scott Flansburgh, the human calculator, who's been on this podcast before, he has a level of coordination that is on par with his ability to see angles. I don't think Scott does, but it's not that my brother is uncoordinated. It's just that most people can't do what Flansburgh can do. Like he'll run 30, 40 balls at a time routinely playing pool. Yeah. He's just a lights out pool player. He can shoot free throws like in basketball or even some tougher shots at the top of the key. He'll just hit them one after the next. He's a great basketball player. He's only like 5'9" or 5'10", but he's super coordinated. And golf, good grief. Golf, he can hit a ball 330 yards. And he's basically a scratch golfer. So he's like an engineer. He can see the angles, but he can also, throw bullseyes with darts just all day long. And yeah, Scott doesn't do that. But yeah, the pool thing was so much fun for us. There was a place, I don't know if we've talked about it here before. We probably have, but Chuck and I used to shoot pool in North Hollywood at a place called North Hollywood Billiards, which was really just it was a great pool hall with a great jukebox. We used to call it what do we call it? The Trumpet Palace.
Trumpet Palace, yeah. Because of all the mariachi that they would play. And then as soon as we came in, there was a very eclectic jukebox. It had everything from mariachi to Prince. So, yeah.
Did we tell you this story before, Mom?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know where you're going with it. So it's been a while.
It's just so inappropriate. You have to imagine this happening at the pool hall at the home, okay? Which is not really a pool hall. They got 3 or 4 pool tables, but this place probably had, I don't know, 40 or 50 at least. And they were all lined up. And you got to imagine maybe 100 guys in there, all day laborers, and they're drinking Corona and they're shooting pool and they're talking. Everybody's smoking. Everybody's speaking Spanish. Everybody's shooting pool. And the sound in the air is pure brass band. It's just trumpets. Just like the smell at the ball was mothballs, the sound here was trumpets. And Chuck and I would play, and we liked it. And then we discovered all the different things on this jukebox. And we started playing a song by Prince, which I'm sure you're super familiar with, Mom. It was a big hit back in the 80s, I believe, called You Sexy Mother.
Oh, yes. You know what?
It's
We
all
s-
coming back to you now.
Yeah, we do.
You remember this story.
We sing it in church frequently.
So you have to imagine, I mean, all these guys, it's just nothing but trumpets and trombones for hours. And then this happens, and they all
Yeah.
just start looking at each other.
But
And then
did
they
they
start
speak
looking around.
English? Did they know what the lyrics were? Did they understand?
Oh, I think they were
I think a lot of
conversant.
them did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But that wasn't it. It wasn't where did that song come from? It wasn't why is that song being played? It wasn't, hey, we've never heard that song played in here before. It was who played that song? And in that room, when you look around, two obvious suspects come to mind.
Yeah. We were routinely the only white guys in there. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm glad you didn't break out in song here yesterday, Mike. That would have.
No. Well,
Oh,
you guys,
you sure?
they had a Santa Claus there.
Yeah, he took
there were
our
carolers. Yeah. Yeah. That song
I-
would have been amazing there at the home.
Oh my goodness, Michael! Don't even think about it.
That song would have killed at karaoke the other night.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. We had a company Christmas party, Mom. Took the gang out. You know, people flew in who don't work in California for us, about 8 or 9, or I guess maybe 10 of us. And took everybody out to a nice dinner. And then we went to some karaoke joint not far from the office in Santa Monica.
But a unique karaoke joint. It wasn't just recorded karaoke. It was a live band. So you came up and sang karaoke with a live band.
Pretty
pressure.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so the band is pretty tight and people are coming up and they're doing their thing. And Chuck, of course, used to run a karaoke bar years ago. What was it called? Like the Bombay Bicycle Club?
Yes, which was a restaurant and bar, but they did karaoke on the weekends, and I hosted it. Yeah.
So Chuck puts his name in and he's going to sing like La Bamba or something.
That was like the only song that I thought, I think I could sing that with a band because it's different. You know, you have no bouncing ball or anything.
Oh, you
just
don't have the
you gotta know the
lyrics in
song.
front of you?
Well, you have the lyrics, but there's no bouncing ball to let you know when you're supposed to come in or when you're not supposed to come in. So you better know all that because all you have is the lyrics and you got a live band playing. Yeah. So
Yeah, there's like an iPad on a C stand. So you're looking at the lyrics. There's a real band around you playing and a room full of people watching. So it's it's much more of a performance. And so Chuck is going to sing La Bamba,
I recognize it.
which would have worked very nicely at the Trumpet Palace, by the
very
way.
much so. Yeah.
But at the last moment, we're looking at the song sheet, and I don't know who it was that suggested it, but
Well, what really sparked it, Mike, was that a certain someone there by the name of Jade had a coat that she wasn't wearing, but it was there. And this coat was white and fur like fake fur. But
I got a picture of it in my phone somewhere. See if you
yeah,
have
I'm looking
one.
for one right now.
It looked like a costume that the abominable snowman would wear if he were being cast, right? It's just a shaggy. I mean, Jade's fashion is unbelievable.
Oh, so Chuck wore that?
Chuck,
Yes.
it was like, well, wait a minute. If you put this jacket on, would that make La Bamba somehow funnier? And it was unclear. But what was very clear would be if he sang a song by Rick James. Now, if you go out as Rick James in that coat, well, that would be something. And Chuck, that song was what?
She's a very sexy. Super Freak. Sorry, it's called Super Freak.
Super Freak.
Did you do that
Right.
one, Chuck?
I did, and I had never. I mean, I barely knew the chorus to it, but yeah, there I am again. There's another.
Did you
shot
bring
of
the
me.
house down?
Oh my
Totally,
God.
totally, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great
We
moment,
don't
man.
we don't hear
was
much
good.
profanity here at the home. And of course, I'm
that
not.
true?
I'm not famous. My books don't have a lot of profanity or violence or language or nudity or violence or porn.
I read a post recently where people took umbrage with your book because of the profanity.
It's your first.
Wow.
I think it's your first piece of hate mail.
You know what?
Actually.
I've got it here somewhere.
Oh, I would like to hear this, guys. If you don't, for those of you who don't follow my Facebook page, I actually posted this. My mother sent me a picture of it, and it's written in longhand on lineless paper by somebody we'll call JL. I don't want to use their look at that thing.
Dag.
Oh, and at first I felt kind of badly because he takes me to task for using, apparently, I quoted, there's an author who lives across the parking lot. His name is Dick Elwood, and he's written 6 books or so. He was a career Baltimore City policeman, and his books are good. I mean, he's not a polished, accomplished. He ain't Shakespeare, I say in my book, but he can tell a story.
That's nice.
He can tell a story, and he's had many interesting experiences in his career. And I quote him a little bit, and I use a couple of bad words in my book. So I think that might be what Mr. JL was referring to. But I mean, he wasn't nasty. He just says, to Peggy Rowe, in Oh No, Not the Home, as in your other books, I have been shocked. Wait a minute, as in my other books, I have been shocked by your obscenities. Misspelled, but that's okay. Especially from a woman who seems too dignified to set such a poor example. Do you use that language with your children and grandchildren, or did you learn it from them? Do you do that to make your books R-rated so they can sell better? You come across as a woman who could be more respected except for your foul language. I don't use foul language. I take umbrage at that.
Just keep going.
Well, as you described on page 202, well, okay, that's with the former sentence. I looked at page 202. There's nothing on there. I'm also on the edge of my seat when I read your books, wondering when I will come across one of your obscenities. Misspelled again. Please clean up your language so that I can sit back and enjoy. Now, this is the good part. And enjoy your funny and amazing experiences without being shocked. On page 278, you say that you were shocked by the language in the movies. And right after that, on the same page, you shocked me again. It's very disappointing, Peg. I only read your books because my daughter keeps sending them to me. I doubt that she knows about your obscenities. Misspelled again. I really do wish that you were the kind of person I would be happy with for a neighbor. Is this the real Peggy Rowe? JL. He gives me his last name, but I don't know. So
Or hers.
or
How do you know it's a him?
well, I don't know. I looked him up on the internet, and there is a man with that name who is 78 years old. And this looks like maybe a 78-year-old man might have written it. But anyway, I think it's funny. I'll cover up his name up here. I think it's funny that he would take the time to sit down and write this letter in cursive and then put a stamp on it and send it to me across the country. Well, anyway, I don't want to hurt his feelings. It sounds like he
Hers.
likes my writing, except for the obscenities with a C in it.
But he only reads it because his daughter sends it to him. That's,
I know. Why does he keep reading my books if he's so shocked? That's what I don't get.
Because people love to be shocked. People love to be offended. and then they love to complain about the extent to which they've been offended. That was not a thing when you were my age today. That's
Yeah.
new. That's changed. People delight in being scandalized and mortified. And they especially delight in sharing their disappointment.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a home. You knew your grandparents. I mean, they did not use obscenities at all. Their language. I kids sometimes that I grew up in a Quaker family. There was no language at all. I mean, sometimes my dad painted the air blue with "Go to war, Miss Agnes." Well, and
Oh
we
yeah.
knew it was something really serious. Yeah. Um, so last week I talked to my sister. I talked to her every week, a couple times, and she was down. Janet's had a lot of physical problems this year, and she can no longer walk. She relies on a wheelchair, and she said it just kind of hit her all at once, or maybe it was the season. But she said she was getting teary and kind of weepy a lot, and it just upset me because she's such an upbeat person all the time. Toward the end of our conversation, I told her about this guy's letter and how he. You know what? Let me. I have this.
It's your episode, Mom. You do whatever you want. Just keep your shirt on.
Okay, and zipped up. I was headed
Yep.
to the mailroom today when I suddenly missed my 90-year-old sister a couple of 100 miles away. Perhaps it's just the season, but I needed to connect with her. Janet has struggled physically this year, and a few days ago admitted to feeling teary from time to time. I'm pretty good at cheering people up. So when we spoke this evening, I shared a letter I had just received from a Mr. L, who claimed to be shocked and disappointed by my obscenities, with a C in my latest book. It's my first piece of hate mail, I told her. Obscenities? What obscenities? Your books don't have obscenities, my sister claimed. Now, Janet would know because we grew up in a Quaker-like home where the word crap would send my mother's eyebrows to the ceiling, and Janet has carried on the tradition. We decided Mr. L was referring to my neighbor's book, a career cop in Baltimore City. Dick tells it like it is, and I quoted some of his colorful language in Oh No, Not the Home. Before saying goodbye, I went out on a wispy twig and signed off by wishing my sister a fucking good night. Well, it's been a while since we shared such a belly laugh together, followed by another one when she responded, I'll try my damnedest. I can only hope our parents didn't hear us. Maybe you can lift someone's spirits this holiday, whatever it takes.
Oh man.
So I'm out there,
if
hon.
there's any justice, Mr. or Mrs. L is listening to this right now. That's fantastic. Oh God.
Well,
Well, did you approve of my response on the Facebooks as I tried to defend your honor? with
well, I
this,
thought you used an S word gratuitously 5 or 6 times.
Well, I was quoting you, which
You know
And
what?
honestly, it was more like 12 or 20. I think it was a
Ho,
lot.
ho, ho.
It
'Tis
wasn't
the
that bad.
season to be jolly and holy. So maybe we should talk about something else other
I
than.
don't think so. I think what we're going to talk about is a mother's attempt to delight her many fans and her son's desire to protect her honor in the wake of her first bit of hate mail. I think there's a seasonal, joyful message in that, beyond the language anyway. I think people would appreciate it, at least knowing, you know.
Well, as long as you know when and where to use it, it's okay. I think because I posted that letter. I mean, I posted this on my Facebook page. And
Mhm.
and I have hundreds of thousands of fans, not as many as you do, but
No, nowhere close.
I I read quite a few of the comments. I mean, there are almost 1,000 comments, and I read quite a few. And nobody took exception to my language. Nobody was offended. I mean, if they were, they didn't leave a comment.
Well, you know what?
So
I didn't read the comments to this. Chuck, do you want to hear this? Should I read this thing real quick?
Yeah,
Just
why
so
not?
people know.
do you think you'll
So-
offend your listeners?
I doubt we have any still listening at this point, but if we do, they're probably either all living at the home or related to you. So I doubt it.
The other day, I watched you on a podcast where that word was used liberally. It wasn't your podcast, but you were on with somebody else, Joe.
Joe Rogan, I believe his name is.
And you were,
Yeah,
I mean, he
never
was,
heard of him.
He was saying the F word, and you guys were smoking cigars like you were in a bar somewhere. I'm glad you didn't
you know
invite
what?
me to be on that.
Look, the things that happen when you're not around, sometimes Chuck is singing inappropriate songs.
I know.
Sometimes we're shooting pool. Sometimes I'm smoking cigars. This Joe Rogan guy is kind of new to the podcast game, but I think he's got
Potential.
some potential.
He's got
Yeah, I
chops.
do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll be all right.
Does have a bit of a potty mouth, but his people seem to
Yeah.
like him.
Does he have any following?
Not much.
Yeah.
Not much. But again, I think, with a little bit of luck, he could probably carve out a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Mom sends me the letter she read from Mr. or Mrs. L. And I just posted it. And what I said was, "Dear Mr. or Mrs. L, I'm writing to inform you that my mother has noted your disappointment with her occasional use of obscenity in her various best-selling books, including her most recent masterpiece, Oh No, Not the Home. Your letter attached, along with a brief note from my mother, arrived in my inbox this morning. Dear Michael, well, I guess it was bound to happen. I finally heard from someone who doesn't like my writing. I'm not sure how to respond, but given the number of people that you've disappointed over the years with your own reliance on vulgarity and smut, I thought perhaps you might have some advice. Much love, Mom." Before we delve into my own reliance on vulgarity and smut, I want to say that my mother and I appreciate the time you took to express your disappointment. Moreover, we were both impressed by your grammar, spelling, I said ironically, sentence structure, and overall syntax. So many people these days, especially those who wish to offer the kind of gentle rebuke you have provided here, diminish their points with myriad mistakes. Not so with you. We were also impressed by the fact that you took the time to express your criticisms in a handwritten, cursive note. Not only is your penmanship legible, it appears on a piece of paper with no lines, and yet your sentences remain neatly ordered and easy to read. That's a real talent, Mr. or Mrs. L. We also noticed the way your carefully chosen words filled every square inch of the page without a lot of unnecessary crowding at the very end. Another indication that this is not the first letter you've written to someone you've never met to share your disappointment. So far, so good, right?
Yeah, nothing offensive at all.
As for your primary concern, my mother's purported penchant for obscenity, spelled incorrectly, I can only tell you that the instances to which you refer do not reflect her actual vernacular, at least not in a way that should cause offense to any grown-up. The fact is, my mother, like her mother before her, would never use bad language in the course of expressing her own thoughts. In fact, my mom and my grandmother positively deplored the crassness to which you object, and they both criticized it whenever they encountered it. However, both women were far less scrupulous when quoting other people. And that's the point. This is precisely what happens in most of my mother's runaway bestsellers, including her latest triumph, Oh No, Not the Home, which can still be purchased in time for Christmas at micro.com/momsbook. Now, as for my own reliance on vulgarity and smut, to which she so casually alludes, I believe my mom was referring to the many hundreds of letters I received 20 years ago that reminded her of yours. Letters from angry viewers who thought I was cursing on dirty jobs when, in fact, I was not. The trouble began for me way back in season 1 when a large rat jumped into my lap while I was filming in a sewer. In my surprise, I yelled, "Holy crap!" before leaping to my feet, smashing my head on the top of the tunnel. and falling face first into a river of filth. Given the environment and the conditions, holy crap seemed a harmless and completely appropriate exclamation, but the network was concerned. They believed the word crap might be offensive to a handful of their most sensitive viewers, so they bleeped it out when the episode aired. Consequently, millions of viewers, including my own mother, assumed that I had said something much worse. In fact, my mother called me immediately after that episode aired, demanding an explanation. Michael, why did you say shit on national television? What's wrong with you? Don't you know that shit is a bad word? I do, Mom, but I didn't use that word. What I said was crap. Mom was dubious. Why would they bleep you for saying crap, she said. Crap isn't a bad word. Are you sure you didn't say shit? It sure looked like you said shit. I'm positive, Mom. I definitely said crap. But don't they understand that bleeping crap makes everyone think you're really saying shit, she asked. I don't know, Mom. All they told me is that every time I say crap, they're going to bleep me. Great, said Mom. Now everyone will think your father and I raised a son who says shit on national television. Do you have any idea how much crap we're going to get at church this Sunday from people who think you're saying shit? Well, then I said, if they're going to bleep me every time I say crap, I guess I might as well say shit, especially when I'm in a sewer and up to my neck in it. Watch your mouth, Michael. Shit is a bad word. Please don't say shit. See what I mean, Mr. L? Or Mrs. L? My mother deplores crass language and only uses it when she's quoting other people directly or referencing the word itself. Please send your letter of apology to the same address and have a wonderful holiday. Warmly, Mike Rowe. P.S. Her next book, 7 Words You Can't Say on the Shitter, should be out later this year. You can reserve a copy today at micro.com/momsbook.
That's the one that sent me over the edge. The PS is the one that made me just spit my coffee all over my computer.
Yeah. What can I say? Lovely response.
Look, we're living in a weird time, Mom. Content is a strange thing. Social media is a weird thing. I wrote that on a plane after reading the handwritten note that you posted. I stand by every word of it. People have just listened to it now. They're still listening, in fact, dozens of them anyway.
Maybe if they haven't turned it off.
Well, probably more than are listening to Joe Rogan now.
Probably.
Seriously? I thought he had a big following.
Oh, you do? You did.
Huh. Joe Rogan, I think.
You're putting me on.
Yeah, I think 12, maybe 14 million people listen to that conversation.
But it goes on for 3 hours. I couldn't stay on to the end of it. It just was too long.
Well, we're at 52 minutes and 54 seconds right now, and I got to think it's probably time to land the plane.
Oh, really?
that
Have
in
we
mind.
said anything? I mean, anything about Christmas? Anything holiday related?
Why don't we start now with your warmest wishes to everybody? What do you want to tell people out there this Christmas season?
Please say Merry Christmas.
Oh my God. Don't hold your breath for that one. No, living here at the home has really opened my eyes to the fact that Christmas is a sad time for a lot of people. I met a woman in the hall the other day, a friend. I've gotten to know her well here in the last 3 or so years. And she's known for being upbeat and happy all the time, and she can make me laugh. She's a funny person. And she wasn't even smiling, and then she wiped her cheek, and I asked her what's wrong. She said, "I'm sorry. This is a rough time of year for me. I miss my husband. I miss my mother. It's just a sad time." So I told her about my sister, and I'm a happy person. But, there are times when I remember Christmases past, how wonderful they were, and it's not the same now. I have family, and I love them, and they love us, but it's just not the same. And I think at this time of year, it's about the memories and You know, they're just not the same. With children running around and gifts under the tree, and they were really special times.
Do
It's
you think do you think people romanticize it in hindsight? I mean, I agree. When I think of the Christmases we had when I was a boy, I remember them the way I heard it, right? I uh, but I wonder how much of a patina we put on it sometimes, and I wonder if that is part of the reason why a lot of people get down this time of year. Was it really as good as you remember it? Is it really as bad as you think it is right now? I don't know.
Well, it was as good as I remember it, and it's not bad now. It's just not as it's just not the same, you
Yeah.
know.
It's a different season. It's a different season in life
Yeah,
for the same season of the holiday
it
season.
is. And you know what? And the truth is, we have 3 children, and we would be more than welcome at each of their homes over the holidays. But we don't, traveling is just not very pleasant when you're older, and you have to drag along a lot of medications and
Ho ho
ho
ho!
ho ho, and it's Metamucil at 3 o'clock, and your thyroid medicine half hour before breakfast, and your pills after dinner, and your breakfast pills, and your
I love a good after dinner pill.
I do too. You know what? You should decorate the tree with them.
That's another thing. Our tree is a ceramic tree. I have 2 of them. We don't put up a
It's
tree
tough to
anymore.
get the things to stay on there, the ceramic
You
tree.
know what? Living where we do, I don't know. Mike, you were not here long enough last night, I believe, to appreciate the beautiful decorations for Christmas. Every
I've seen them. They do an amazing job there overall. It's pretty great.
every lobby has a huge Christmas tree just laden with bulbs and decorations. Every night of the week there is a sing along, a carol sing along, and in every lobby there's a hot cider festival. There's eggnog. I mean, they do everything they can here to make people happy, because for a lot of people, the Christmas that we get here at Oakcrest is their only Christmas. They don't have relatives or loved ones. Anyway, so Christmas season can be a downer. What was your question? Do you remember?
My question was, what's your wish to the audience in this Christmas season?
Oh yeah,
And I
Merry
think
Christmas.
you've basically just said everybody to draw a warm bath and sharpen the steak knives. So I don't
You know what?
to do about it.
Well, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, of course, and I hope that you can spend it
She's
with
super freaky.
Merry freaking Christmas. Yeah.
Merry freaking Christmas.
Well, I'll
Oh
tell
my
you what we'll
God.
do. They'll have a special Christmas.
Where are you going?
We're
I mean,
going.
are you leaving the compound?
Well, yes, and
The
we're
reservation?
driving 4 miles to
Oh
our
boy.
friend's house, Pat and Richard, and we'll have a lovely meal. There'll just be 4 of us, and then we'll probably play some games, and just being with people that you enjoy and that you really like, is a
Hmm.
good thing. And then we'll come
Yep.
home, and if there's time, we might play a couple of games of pool. We might watch the Christmas Story, and of course, throughout the day, we will get phone calls from our children who
Oh, constant phone
miss
calls.
us and wish we
Yeah.
were with them.
Mhm. Well, that's for sure. Even when they show up late for a breakfast that they explained they wouldn't be coming for in the first place.
But he
Even
managed to eat a lot
it wasn't easy.
because you were so late getting here. It was more like lunch.
It was too brave. We call that a bang bang.
Yeah.
Two meals back to
Back to back. Well, for us, it was bang, bang, bang. No,
It
actually,
was bang 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 bang.
Michael, that chicken salad they serve at Lakeside is just wonderful. And I brought one back, and Scott had it with breakfast this morning. It has nuts and cranberries and it's just wonderful.
These guys, Chuck, can stretch a meal into a week.
Mm.
They'll
Mm.
bring it home. They'll triple down on desserts and whatever extras, and then they just proportion them out. And it's like the loaves and the fishes. It's just there's always stuff.
Yeah.
There's always stuff in the fridge from meals that,
Yeah.
3-4 days old. It's amazing.
So
Well,
anyway,
great.
Christmas goes on, and I went to a Christmas celebration the other night at the Acorn. And I got out my pad and pencil because I was alone. Your dad was playing shuffleboard. And I sat at the bar with the ginger ale with my pad and pencil, just looking around. I took some pictures, but Dan was there with his guitar and he played, and there was a sing along for like 40 minutes. And then there were videos, and I just looked around at people's expressions, and they were, having a drink with friends and some appetizers. It was just a fun time. The place was packed. The lobby outside was packed. The lounge alongside was packed. Christmas trees visible out every little window. It was very festive, and I'm not complaining. Christmas is good. And of course, your father is the liturgist at church in December.
Mm.
So we'll be at church tomorrow, and that's always special fun over the Christmas season and Christmas Eve. And if you recall, last Christmas night, Christmas Day night, your father had a horrific heart
Oh,
attack.
that's right.
So whatever happens this Christmas will be better than last Christmas. That's for sure.
That was, you know what? I mean, that I guess that kind of rhymes a little bit. That was the hardest Christmas ever for you, I'm sure,
Oh,
and
yeah.
certainly for me.
It certainly
And
was. It was horrible.
and here we are a year later. Well, that's my Christmas wish too. What you just described, this idea that, I mean, it struck me the other day when I was leaving as I'm walking down these long hallways, and you don't know what's going on behind those doors, and you don't know who's grieving, you don't know who's up, you don't know who's down, you don't know who's struggling. But you have to assume that in a facility filled with people, most of whom are in their 80s and 90s, I guess, older maybe, that they've had loss and they've had tragedy, and that the holiday is tough. And to be able to walk out and down a hall and past a holiday tree and, Christmas caroling, and to a place where a woman is sitting at the bar sipping her ginger ale, writing it all down, and a guy's playing his guitar and people are singing, that's community, and that'll save your ass, I think, when the chips are really down.
Beautifully said. Who doesn't want his ass saved on Christmas?
Amen, sister.
Oh, gosh. Well, this was odd, but I like it. From Prince to Rick James to La Bamba to Christmas carols to old traditions and new friends and all of it, Mom.
Yeah, here's to old traditions and new friends.
Mm-hmm. What are you drinking there? Wassail?
This is coffee with Mom, isn't it? Coffee with Mother?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it sure is.
Okay.
I'm vodka. I went with vodka with Mother.
Vodka with Chuck.
Looks strangely
Chuck
like
went-
water.
It always does.
Chuck's going with, I'm alone in my bedroom drinking vodka. What's your Christmas wish?
Yeah. And you should pick up the stocking part of your cap when you say that.
I would say.
All right,
well, go ahead. You sign off.
No, go
I
ahead
thought
and
you
wrap
asked
up
me a
my
question.
podcast for me, would you? No, go
I
ahead.
thought you asked me a question. That's all.
What was the question you thought I asked?
Tell us about your Christmas, Chuck. What do you wish
My
for?
Christmas wish. Just remember the reason for the season. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son.
Oh, what a nice way to take us out. I would
You
have
and
said
Charlie
that.
Brown really nailed it.
Yeah.
I love Charlie Brown. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all I got to say.
That's it. Good for you. Good for you, Chuck. Sharing your faith with people, jamming it down their throats and whatnot. I think that's great.
Get
But
in there.
But no one did it better than Schultz. Lee Mendelson tells that great story of getting Peanuts on the air. A
Yep.
Charlie Brown Christmas was a tough sell. It was a tough sell. And to
Yep.
have, I think, Linus quoting Luke.
Yeah, like a lot of it. The whole
Oh,
Christmas story. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
the executives did not want that. And to get Vince Guaraldi's soundtrack, that weird jazzy thing, that sad little Christmas tree that nobody wanted, but Charlie Brown would put one bulb on the top. Remember, it pulls the whole thing over.
And Linus
You know?
wrapped his blanket around the trunk, and that made everything good.
That's what this conversation was. It was not a traditional ho ho ho, everything is going to be great. It was an honest look at the music of the season, the unexpected music of the season, with some language you might not expect to hear in church or find in a traditional greeting card.
True dat. True dat.
With a little John 3:16.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, wonderful to see you. Merry Christmas to everyone listening. Thank you for making Coffee with Mom my favorite episodes of this podcast, and for making this podcast so much bigger than Joe Rogan's. I'm so grateful for that, and so surprised by the many, 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 many millions of listeners we have now. So that's what I'm grateful for, Chuck.
Awesome. Goodbye, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Goodbye. Love you
Ho, ho,
all.
ho.
Merry Christmas.
Really? Everyone? You don't really love everyone.
You all three.
I think she was talking to us. Yeah.
I was talking to
Oh.
you guys.
We love you. You know what? You know who else I love?
Who?
Mr. or Mrs. JL. I really hope they're having a great holiday, regardless of their relationship with the English language.
I hope so.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
If you like what you heard,
And even if you don't,
won't you please,
pretty please, subscribe.
Well, I hate to beg and I hate to plead, but